I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get in here while please don't be offended if I go behind the fan. I have been working at a dog trot
I wear a few different hats.
for days. Not for days, it just feels that way. I'll tell you in a minute. Let me just pop out the chat. And then I'm going to give everybody some time to get in here, and then I will greet and say hello. How's it going? Remember, if you want me to say hi to you, please say hi so that you will be in the list of the participants. My left hand is really buggered. You will be in you will be in the list of participants so that I can say hello back. Okay. I'm in a great deal of pain. The weather has not been kind. It's been cold and damp. We've had some sunny periods, yes, but it's been cold and damp. Hey. I'm just taking time to let people come in while I work on my medication. We just did our first Little House Live of the year, and it was kind of slow, but not slow, but I don't think a lot of people realize just how much fiction there is in the Little House books. And then, in the Little House TV series was even worse. So I just did that, and I did canning today. I did a pantry pull video today. And I did another video today, and I'm editing all day tomorrow. So actually I'm editing tonight. So what's a SPED class? Oh, special needs. So that's what my day has been like. And tomorrow you should see the Jenga of dishes in my sinks because I've been so busy today. Special needs, thank you. So, all right, let me just see if, come on, be enough, thank you. So I'm just giving everybody a chance to come in. And, oh, this hand. It's all in here. It's all like if this whole part of my hand and wrist. As a matter of fact, that's how I massage it. It's like I was milking a goat. Pretty silly, actually. So, yes, the new schedule is Thursday nights. Life with the Wolfies is going to be sharing time with reading with Beverly Wolfie, doing Little House Lives, at least until we're done on the banks of Plum Creek. And then we may, my hand. I'm trying to roll a little filter here. Shoot. I know some people go, it's Carolyn, not Caroline. I said, no, Carolyn is spelled with a Y. Caroline is spelled I-N-E. It's Caroline. If I mistake it and say sometimes Carolyn, I know it's wrong, right? But it's Caroline. Hey. Okay, let me just get my stuff on the go here. I've got my tea. If you want a shout out for me to say hello, please say hello in chat. And so everybody else can say hi, and so I can say hi too. If somebody named Sean Passmore comes in here, please make it known to me so that I can sing happy birthday to him. Ooh, I forgot to send this. I'll be right back, folks. It'll buffer out for a second. Just give me a second. And I have to send one more. Okay, I'm back. Please excuse me if I'm still kind of snorting and snuffling. The cold is gone, but I'm dealing with the after effects of it. I tell you, I think I'm going to be going out, and if the weather's acceptable tomorrow, I'm going to go out. I've still got enough garlic to plant one more bed. All right, let me just... Oh, there we go. All right. This is the day that I do card readings. Patrons get their cards read for free anytime. If you specifically want a card read and you have a question, please give me the question in Super Chat so that I will see it. My hands are way too sore to be just randomly shuffling for shout outs and stuff. It's just, this hand is way too sore, right? So just let me now. Ow! Oh my gosh. This poor sage bundle is falling apart. All right, this is not witchcraft, folk. All right, it's not. Sage is incense. That's all. Just smoking out the negativity. So yeah, I did canning today. I did a lot of stuff today. I kind of hit the ground at a really, fierce, determined shuffle this morning. Oh. Okay, now let me pop out the participants and say hello to Angela Passmore, Seashell Surf, aloha, darling, Debbie Nowicki, EJ, Sassy, Helen, Kathy Ponder, Misty Flesher, Minnesota Farmer's Wife, hello there, and Pam P.S., Sherry Leach, and Stephen Seedfeld. Hang on a second, I've got something come up here that I'm downloading. Skip those files. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go back to the chat. Make sure you're on live chat, not top chat, so that you don't miss anything. How's everybody doing today? The chicks are fine. They're not completely fully feathered, only on their heads are they not feathered, and they've suffered no ill effects from me giving them ground bread. Now, I'm going to tell folks that I got a lot of people coming back and saying, no, my dad used to hit the bakery with the bakery for their leftover stuff, like, weekly. And they would, the day old and late stuff, and they would give it all to the chickens. I freeze mine. It's either toasted or stale, and I always grind it before I mix it into their food. Had a great sunny day, got some yard work done. We still have water standing, but was able to do some work outside. Well, I'm listening, but away from my computer. Hey, Celeste. Hey, Natalie. Mariel. I'm sorry. It's going to happen every time. It's going to happen every time I see your name. It's one of those squirrel moments for me. So I even wrote 2 letters today to family. I sent them some seeds. There's just, tomorrow is going to be dishes, editing, and Freaky Friday. That's it. That's all I'm going to be able to do. Hey, Ninja Clan Kathy. How's it going? Hi, Lori from Vermont. Linda Willitson. It was great to get my CSA share. What's that? Hey, BlackRock, Steven, Miss Math forever. Got your raised beds looking great. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I actually am going to try and figure out a way of raising more beds because I got 4 beds of garlic, right? And then, of course, when I'm out, when I go out to feed the chickens in the morning, right? Now, I fed them last night and I went out this morning, they still had food. So they can hold on until tomorrow now. They're not like, oh, starving to death, because if there's still food left in the bowl at supper time, leave them be. So, but every time I go out in the morning, I take this watering can with me. I have a watering can that I bought specifically for watering the plants indoors. It's a lighter weight, smaller one that has the spray nozzle on the head. And, oh, good job, Muriel. Good job. Let us know if you find any, if we're still on. Yeah, exactly. Or leave it in the comments after the fact. But now you did say you're down under, right? Please tell me you're not from Porpoise Spit. I'm going to my second vendor sale for my jams and jellies this weekend. Wish me luck. How did it go, Sharon? Spread compost and manure today over here. Well, every time I go to feed my chickens in the morning, I stop at a bed and pull like old drying bean vines. I'm horrible. By the time I've done going through the beds for canning and stuff like that in the fall, I don't want to see them again until spring. So spring ends up being a cleanup. My son made me some raised beds out of 55-gallon food grade barrels. Need to figure out where to put them. Make sure you put holes in the bottom. Okay? And make sure you water them, because the surface of a 55-gallon drum doesn't necessarily catch a lot of rain. Oh, that's good, Sharon. Hey, Diamond how are you? Hey, Carolyn. Don't spread yourself too thin. I know, Stephen. I know, darling. But you know what? It's got things. I was just writing to my cousin Debbie, and I was telling her that I literally work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you don't see me one day, it doesn't mean I ain't working. It just means I'm working for another day. Like, for instance, I did 3 videos today. That's tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday. And Monday's a real lightweight video. So, my back, hang on a second, folks. Oh! So, yeah, I got a lot of work done today. And this weekend, like Saturday, we're going to pick up our pool. People ask me what happened to my pool. A tree fell on it. The tree that I've been asking to be taken down for 2 years. Before it fell on my pool, then it finally fell on my pool. But there was a lady in Gatineau selling her pool, and it's the same size as mine, and it's all up. There's no liner or anything in it, but everything's there, just no liner in it, and the liner's still in the box. Couldn't get a deal because we need the sidewall and parts, so we're going to have extra parts plus a brand new pool liner. Hub's got you a hot tub. Nice. Gonna enjoy a Vietnamese beef pho on the way to Costco. There you go. I put my raised beds on the side of the yard that holds water where our underground utilities. Well, I'll tell you something. I'm thinking of cutting down my apricot tree because I have had no success getting a mate or having a mate survive. So I have to decide whether that apricot tree in the corner needs to be taken down and replaced with something else, like maybe blackberry bushes, right? Because it's wasted space. And as pretty as it is when it's in blossom, it is wasted space. Hey, Holly, how are you? I have a garden tub with jets and never use it. Oh, hi, Paula. No, I tell you what, I miss our hot tub. I tell you, when everything is paid off, I'm buying me a hot tub. Probably take me a couple of years because we bought a secondhand one once and it was actually an indoor hot tub, but then Howie closed it all in and insulated it. And we built an insulated lid and everything for it. And we had that hot tub for 2 years on the deck. It was a 2-seater hot tub. And that's the only time I can get in and out of a tub is when it's in a hot tub. Okay, Muriel, take care. Have fun. Don't hit any boomers on the road, eh? And have, really use a sharp eye at Costco. All right, honey. Take care, Stephen. Mwah. Hi, Diane Zook from Pennsylvania. So, I'm going to open my window because I'm getting hot. Anyway, I went out and looked. Now, I was telling you about my watering can. I have a watering can that's slightly smaller than my big outdoor one, right? And so I just take the spray nozzle thing just pops off and I fill it with water and I take it out and that fills their waterer every day. And then I give them their food. And like I said, this morning they had lots. So I gave them their allotment and I'm leaving them for till tomorrow. But then on my way back, I try and pull some weeds or, garbage out of the beds. But I went and looked. I've got like 4 more clumps of garlic. And if the weather's nice tomorrow, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make another bed. I'm just going to do another garlic bed because you know what? Everything else is not promised, but the garlic's fighting to live, right? So I'm going to give it its druthers, right? And so that's kind of what's going on tomorrow. Dishes and cleaning garden beds. I might take you out with me. Cleaning garden beds. That's a lot of work. And Saturday, we're going to pick up the parts for the pool. The kids are coming to visit at the end of May. At the end of May to help Howie put the pool up. But knowing Howie, he'll have it up before then. So I have about 50 chickens and 40 quail. Going to be butchering some soon. I bet. Another reason. But the thing is these guys these were garlic cloves I planted 2 years ago. And they got overrun with nettles and I couldn't get in them and I thought they had died. Right? But apparently they had grown nice heads of garlic in the ground. And then this spring, those heads started to grow. So it's like, well, in the fall, I went digging through that bed to see if I could find some garlic for supper because I was gleaning what was left in the beds for a soup, right? Hey, willows. And semi-sunken, and it would be beneficial. Sunken would not help me at all. Sunken means I have to get down in and then up out of. If it's above the floor, I can get in, throw my leg over. But pulling myself up from something sunken would not be really good. Hey, Misty. I'm wanting to make that homemade fertilizer. Do you have a video on it? I was wondering about the ratios. Okay, it's pretty simple. And all I know is it's working. It is 1 cup of ground toasted eggshells. Toasted meaning you don't want, even if it's dry, you don't want to give any eggshells that have any smell of the egg on them. That's why you toast them. Or the raccoons will be digging up your garden. They're egg junkies. So it's 1 cup of ground toasted eggshells, 1 cup of coffee grounds, and 1/2 cup of Epsom salts, and you grind it all together. And I threw in 1 dried banana peel, but I've saved and dried a whole bunch of banana peels because they are better for flowers. They're better for flowers, so I'm going to save that for when things are coming into flower, and I will be putting that on there. Hi, Gayla. Lori Peer, Janet Fitton. How are you? Hey, Sherry Leach. So it's just basically compost. It's basically dried compost, right? And I'll tell you, when I was digging in those beds, they're full of worms. They're full of worms. But those garlics that are still in the back beds that I don't use anymore because they were overrun, they've got green shoots like that. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to do it soon. And I very carefully take them apart, and I haven't broken a little root yet. So, yeah, I'm going behind the fan for a minute. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. And I'm going to be editing probably until 10 o'clock. I haven't even had supper yet. You know that? I haven't even had supper. I've just been going. I'll be working on the yard this weekend. I'm hoping to get containers ready. Good. Hey, Matthew, how are you? Always love catching your lives. Hope all is well. Looking forward to seeing your garden grow this summer. Well, thank you, Matthew. I do public lives every Thursday night and Sunday afternoon at 4 Eastern Daylight Time. I have now added Little House Live to the Thursday night roster. At 6:30, we do a chapter or two. We just started tonight. We're doing the banks of Plum Creek, on the banks of Plum Creek. And you'd be amazed how many people do not know that those stories are not 100% true. They were taken out of her autobiography, Pioneer Girl, before it was published. And they made them into children's stories. So they paid kind of fast and loose. They amalgamated some people, like Nellie Olson is an amalgam of two different people in her journeys. The Long Winter, they didn't live alone. They had another family living with them who did nothing to help themselves, right? And there's all kinds of stuff that people don't know, because the Little House on the Prairie books are fictionalized versions based on Laura's life. So while a lot of the things in them are true, it doesn't necessarily mean they happened when they said they did, that the people and the characters were in it. Or, like, for instance, Little House on the Prairie, that book that was done took place in Indian Territory. Carrie was not the baby, Laura was. So that book was written based on stories she'd heard. And here's a kicker. Jack the dog never existed. Right? So we were sobbing over, he left him in the river, he's gonna drown. Papa almost shot him. Nellie was mean to him. Jack never existed that I'm aware of. Jack, when they left, now if you go through the autobiography, Pioneer Girl, when they left the little house in the big woods, Carrie was the baby. And when they supposedly went from there to Indian Territory, Carrie was the baby. And then when they went from Indian Territory to on the banks of Plum Creek, Carrie was still a baby. Now that's like 3 years worth of stuff. But it actually goes from Little House in the Big Woods to on the banks of Plum Creek. The Little House on the Prairie story that takes place in Indian Territory, Laura was only 18 months old. Okay? Laura was only 18 months old. She was the baby. It happened before the Little House in the Big Woods. It happened before Little House in the Big Woods. And Laura wrote it based on all the things that she had heard people talking about in her parents and family over the years. She actually doesn't have hardly any memories of that, because it happened when she was a toddler. You know what I mean? And don't get me started on the series. I loved that TV series for years until I started reading the books and went, oh, this is nothing like it. Right? And then you read her autobiography and it gets more real, right? Did you know that Charles Ingalls and I share the same birthday? We're both born on the same day. Well, I mean, no, they're not completely fictional, Sharon. They are based on Laura's life. A lot of the things that happened, right? Like, you know, the bloodsuckers and let me put it this way. Okay. The prairie fires and the locusts and the long winter, all of that stuff really happened. Even the Little House on the Prairie out in Indian Territory happened. but they played kind of they switched a lot of things around, melted characters together, and then made it on a timeline where she could put out these books. So technically, it should be, the reason I always read Farmer Boy after Little House on the Prairie is because Farmer Boy is before Laura on Little House um, on the banks of Plum Creek, right? I don't know if I'm making any sense. Hey, Pammy. I do believe I have I have a few books. Like I've been reading I I read her whole autobiography, Pioneer Girl, and now I have The Beautiful Snow to read, and I have Prairie Fires. I've read Prairie Fires. Actually, I stopped reading Prairie Fires when it became more about Rose. You read Prairie Fires, and you're going to find that Rose Wilder was not the nicest of people. She didn't really give a crap about anything as long as her paychecks were coming in. Seriously. But she did coach. She was the author before her mother. Her mother had been doing, editorial pages and all that stuff. But Rose got more into the fiction, and she got her mother, I believe, check me if I'm wrong, she helped her mother make the Little House on the Prairie books. She kind of helped her mother navigate her way through editors and shit stuff. Hey, Natasha B. She is just as fascinating as Laura, but to me, she comes off as in a little more cynical and a little more world wise. You know what I mean? Hey, QC5B Gardens with hi, Sarah. It took me all that just to say hi, Sarah. So, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I read the Little House on the Prairie books, just the Laura Ingalls Wilder ones, over and over and over again my whole life. Well, I read them. I practically know them by heart, right? And I was always left wanting more, wanting to know more. And that's when I got the Pioneer Girl. And I can't find it. It's driving me nuts because I wanted to reference it, to use it as a reference material for tonight. But I will try and find it. I got a lot of things going on. Hey, Selena. How are you, darling? Rose did help her mother. If you read much of Rose's works, you can see Rose's influence. I bet. I have never read any of Rose Wilder's stuff. I just haven't had the time. Been to Laura's home and museum in Mansfield, Missouri. Awesome place. Oh, I would love to see that. How my baby boy? Bubba is doing great. He's already kicked off his cold. Mom and Dad are feeling much better. And we had some FaceTime yesterday. And he was very talkative. He doesn't like, and one day before that, a couple of days before that, he rolled over. We had been trying to get him to catch him on camera rolling over for me on live. He rolled over like 6 times in 10 minutes. It's like, boom, she'd roll him back. Boom. Now if he gets one leg just a pumping, like he's pumping a bellows or something. Every once in a while he gets a hold of that toe and he sticks it in his mouth. God, I love my grandson. Hi, Wanda. Becky, how are you, darling? Carrie. So, but he's quite talkative now. I can't wait to see him. They are hopefully are going to be moving closer. And I'll be able to see baby Bubba at least once a month. So, yeah, I keep putting it down. I'm getting ready for bed. I'm so tired. Hang on a second. I have about an hour and a half worth of editing to do. Hey, 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 hey. Hear the robins? Always the first one's up and the last one's to bed. Oh, I gotta tell you. You know my pileated woodpecker Dale? I don't know how many years ago it was, but there's a big old log out behind my pool down at the property, almost at the property line. And woodpeckers peck wood for bugs. Well, this old log is rotten and it's like a bank of bugs and grubs, right? And so far, Dale has taken a chunk, and this log is like this big. He's taken a chunk out of this log about this yay big in the last year or so. Well, he came back. Yeah, I said to Howie, I said, I heard him. I can hear his call. And I said to Howie, I said, oh, Dale's back. And he goes, yeah, he's got a friend. I said, what? And he goes, yeah, there's two of them. I said, are you sure we're talking about the same woodpecker? Because I don't see them all. You don't see them together often, right? And sure enough, I go down at the old rotten log and he's brought his girlfriend. Oh, I got a stash, baby. Grubs, worms, wood lice, whatever you want. It's all in there, baby. So so Dale has a girlfriend. There's a reason I call him Dale is because, one of my huge crushes when I was growing up was my best friend's older brother. And his name was Dale, and his hair is white now, but it was beautiful cinnamon red. He had these beautiful big eyes, His son looks just like him, only except a little more rugged in the face, I would say. So, so I'm really happy, and I'm listening to the birds, and I've got some more gardening ideas I'm thinking of. It just depends on if I can get it done, right? Like by the time I get the garden all in, I'm so tired, and then it's a battle of weeding until it's time to start picking, and canning. That's why I canned a bunch of pork roast today, because 4 months from now, we don't eat a lot of roasts, so 4 months from now, it's going to be time to can up that meat from the freezer. And guess what? I'm going to be in the middle of canning season. So it's like, I don't want any extra work. So I did it today. Your dad's name is Dale. So, that's kind of what, tomorrow I'm cleaning garden beds. Oh, yes, about the bread. So, I know I touched on this, but the bread is stale or toasted and it's ground. They're not, and they're not getting, they're not just getting it, they're getting food as well. And they're not getting it every day. But I have ordered a bag of grower, and it's getting milled from a local mill in Shawville called M&R Feeds. I had no choice but to get the Purina starter crumb for the chicks. But for the grower, I phoned my local saddlery, and she ordered it in, and it's their mill, their feed, mixed their grains. They grind their own lay mash, their own grower, all that stuff. So I've ordered a bag of grower. It's in. We're picking that up Saturday, and then I'm going to start, once or twice a week, dipping into the freezer for the baggies of like leftovers and stale bread and peels and stuff, and I'll just throw them in my food processor, chop them up, and add them to their food. Hey, Lacey, how's it going? Oh my gosh. Seashell, slow down. I can't see any comments. So anyway, tomorrow is today's canning video that I did. And there's going to be a 4 jars ad at the end, right? But there's also a surprise ending. So if you're from our half-acre homestead, folks, watch it all the way through, because in there somewhere there's going to be a surprise. Hens start laying eggs at 20 weeks, which is 5 months old. So I've got the 2 black Sussex and the 2 barred rock, and I'm going to take my layers from them. I say 2. Howie wants 3. We'll see. We will see how well my chicken coop cabinet for the front porch in the front porch comes together this summer. So they were hatched at the end of March. So the end of April, they're a month old. April, May, June, July, August. They'll be laying at the end of August. So I need to build my little coop. For the porch this summer at some point. I'm a teacher. I'm looking forward to this summer off. I'm ready for canning season. I can't wait. See, I have been told that I would make a good teacher. I don't think I would make a good teacher because I don't lie. And I'm not saying you lie, Sharon, but I'm looking at school boards and stuff today and curriculums, and it's scary. People, all these things that teachers have to do to teach children, right? What the heck? Is that a spider crawling up my leg? Nope. Hey, Karen. Well, it's nice that you get statutory holidays and summers off. I mean, there's a lot of teachers in my family. I mean, it kind of runs in the blood. Like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 that I can name right off the top of my head. Fairly close to being immediate family that are all teachers. So I still teach the 3 R's. Well, thank God for that, eh? Because seriously, there's just way too much stuff going on. They're doing everything they can now, the school boards, and, to try and interfere between the parent and the child. And that's just not cool. That's just not cool. So, I mean, the teachers are stuck doing as they're told. And parents are fighting school boards about stuff that they shouldn't have to worry about. There's certain things that only parents there's certain things that children, should learn from their parents. For instance, sex ed, grade 8, 13 years old. All the boys went in the one room with the male principal, and all the girls from grade 8 went in the other room with the female teachers. And we had suggestion boxes so that if nobody wanted to say questions out loud, they could write them down and put them in a box. And there's, and we talked about everything. The teacher drew on the board the ovaries and the uterus and the babies and the penis and the sperm and the egg. And we talked about all that stuff. We talked about personal hygiene and all that stuff. We never found out what the guys talked about. Hey, Joe Mama. How are you, sweetheart? So, I mean, now there's just so much more added. Hi, Timothy. There's just so much more added stress on the teachers. Not to mention, forcing them to get the job, so for them to continue teaching. And then they ended up, having to do, I know one teacher relative of mine who was teaching 2 classes at a time. There was a divider down the middle of the room, and she was bopping back and forth because, some people were, online learning and all that stuff. And they've just, so much has happened in the last 3 years to keep people constantly on the edge of their seats what's happening next, and not in a good way, like a suspense thriller or whatever, right? So here's my thing. You know what I'm worried about? I'm not worried about the war in Ukraine and Russia, or China and Taiwan, or Iraq and Iran. I'm not worried about that. You know why? Because it's all going to die down. It really is. I have it. I know, Linda. You shouldn't even have come, honey. We'll keep your family in our prayers. Was it your nephew or your brother-in-law that had the motorcycle accident? Yeah, and so here's my worry is that they have kept people by doing this through social media and mainstream media. If it wasn't COVID, it was the vaccine. If it wasn't the vaccine, it's this new inclusivity that actually divides people more than ever. It's all these things that they're throwing at, arresting President Trump and the Emergencies Act and saying, yes, the Emergencies Act was needed, but if they had done their work at the beginning of it, it would never have been needed. So there's all these things that people are just slapping, and of course we're being lied to. I mean, there's a questionnaire going around on the internet saying, do you think CBC News should say government funded CBC News? Yes, I should. Why? Because it's government funded. So how could that's not news, that's propaganda, right? Brother-in-law, and I misunderstood, was not motorcycle, was hit by a car while riding his bike. Oh my God. Well, we will absolutely keep your family in our prayers, honey. We will absolutely do that. So my point is, what happens when we've all been kept on the edge of our seat for one thing or another for 3 years, and then nothing happens? There is no third world war. People are being the truth, more truths are coming out, and people are saying, no, don't ask me what my pronouns are because I don't have any. I am what I am, right? I'm an adult human female, period, full stop. That just, So, I mean, all of these things that have been keeping people at each other and niggling and doing this. And that's the powers that be going, watch, while they're over here doing something else, right? They're trying to push through so much stuff. Hi, Lori. Exactly. I tell people, don't call me a cis female. Yeah, a cis female. What the hell is that? I'm not saying that their feelings aren't valid. Okay? But it's getting ridiculous. And you can't ask me to enable something I don't believe in just because of your feelings. Right? So, I mean, hi, Doris, how are you? That they said they could take your home when they are under Emergencies Act. Yeah, they can do anything they want. Don't think for a minute that because you own your land and it's paid off and your taxes are up to date, that they can't take your land. Do you know why? Because when the government takes taxes on your land or on your home and you pay it, it's like you're paying rent to them. See, the only way to really own your land is to stop paying taxes on it. And guess what? Then there's this whole legal battle of, oh, well, you can't, we're going to take your land because you haven't paid your taxes, right? Then you got in a whole Ruby Ridge shit going on. It's just wrong, right? And there is no way in which giving more power to the government over our lives ends well for anybody. You understand? And the first crucial thing that we need to stop is the world going to total digital currency. I know people seem to think that, well, we do most of it now, but I mean, it's actually making cash useless. And when they do that, if you accept digital currency, right, for everything, right, which we probably 97 or 75% of us 75% of us probably have 75% of our lives digitized, and that's fine. But you can't let it go to total digital currency and ID. Why? Because then you're a slave. Do you understand? You are a slave doing what the governments and the corporations and the social structures tell you to do. Because if you don't, you're always living under the threat of your life being switched off. And they have that power. Oops! Sorry, you don't exist. So, hi, Karen. How's it going? I don't care, Linda. Yes, you can say boy or girl. Why? Because they exist. Like, I literally watched a clip of a woman who was a transgender male. I don't even know if I got this right, but she was biologically a woman, but had transitioned, like having the breasts reduced, taking testosterone and all that stuff. And this is a whole other ball game. This isn't the one I did on my Rumble either. And then the wife is actually a transgender female. So the wife was actually a biological male, and he's trying to nurse their new baby that the husband gave birth to. And they're trying to ask children to identify their pronouns in schools now. It's just like the fancy thermostat. Trump mentioned the dollar system as out of date. He would like to be president to prevent this. My 16-year-old granddaughter. Do not comply. Absolutely. It's like if I go to somewhere where they say, like, for instance, our local Giant Tiger. Back in December, my last trip to Giant Tiger, I was watching. There's a huge long lineup for the cigarette and lottery counter where there were 2 caches open, but the other 4 regular cash registers were all blocked off by displays. And I'm looking, and I filmed it, and I said, here comes self-checkout. So as a joke, I didn't film it. When I got up to the cash register, I said, so when's the self-checkout come? She said, January 19th. And I said, please tell me you're still going to have cashiers. She said, oh, we have to keep the cigarette and lottery counter open in case there's a power outage. People need to pay with cash. And I said, thank God. I said, because I love this store. And I would be saying goodbye if you went to self-checkout. I would never have come in here again if it was all self-checkout. Reverse ATMs. It doesn't even come down to, religion, Lori. It doesn't even come down to that. We are what we are born. Right? I mean, if you filled the world, no wonder children are confused. No, I'm just saying, no wonder children are confused and coming home from school going, they told me I might be a boy or blah, 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 blah. You put cash in on your account. You do that with an ATM now. I can put cash in the ATM. It goes right into my account. I can do that. That's how our ATMs work. Or our bank machines anyway. Oh, get this. Get this. I don't know how many years ago it was. I don't know how long I've been with a credit union. Okay, here's a story for you. Here is a wonderful story for you. Back about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, when we first, in 2001, when we first moved to Quebec, we got an account with the National Bank, or was it the CIBC? I can't remember. But I had an account that I paid $14.95 a month in service charges Now remember, we're talking over 20 years ago. And I got 100 free checks, and I got my bill statements, and I could, unlimited use with my debit card, all that stuff, right? So let's pony up about 10 years. And we're now living in Wakefield. And I switch everything over to the National Bank, except our mortgage, which has always been CIBC. But I got our accounts and everything done for Howie's direct deposit and all that stuff at the National Bank in Wakefield. So one day I got, the service charges just kept going up every year. And one day I got this letter saying, yeah, always get paper bills, okay? Trees will come back, okay? But if your files are deleted, they're deleted. And if you can't prove it, you're buggered, right? So I just noticed that, and then one day I opened it up and said, "Oh, your service charges at the bank are going to go up to $24.95, and this includes 2 visits to the teller and unlimited use of Interact, right?" And that was it. So I phoned Brother John, J0. Now, no, he's not my biological brother. He's my brother by choice, okay? Hey, Mary. And I phoned John, and I said, "This is insane." He said, "Don't you people have credit unions?" I said, "What's the difference?" He went, "Oh, Lord, Bev." And so he proceeded to tell me about credit unions. There's a live... or not alive, but there's a tea break about it somewhere way back in the archives of our half-acre homestead, because there's 3,000 videos up there. So I did some research, and I went to, I found, because in Quebec, their only credit union is called Desjardins, and they're crooks, right? They're crooks. They're worse than banks. If I went to use my credit union card in a Desjardins, they'd charge me $6, right? So hey, city girl. So anyway, I phoned the credit union of the Meridian in Ottawa, and I said, blah, blah, blah. And they said, "Well, do you live in Ontario?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Oh, we can't, you got to be a resident or at least be working in Ontario." I said, "Oh, my husband works in Ottawa." And he goes, "Perfect. You can become a credit union member." So we set it up. $9.95 a month. I've upped it since. It's now $12.99 a month. I get 100 free checks a year. Oh, and that's another thing about the National Bank. I had for a while there, because we had a mobile home in Arizona, we had to have an American account so that we could pay the bills down there, right? That account cost me $9.99 a month. And when I did the exchange from Canadian to American, the bank charged me 3 cents on the dollar over and above the exchange rate. And if I wanted a savings account, it was going to cost me another $9.99 a month. So that would have been $24.95, $45.95, $45.90 something for a U.S. account and a savings account and a checking account. So when I went talk to Meridian, I got an online account. We pay to use the teller, but that's only because our account is completely online. And the only time we have to use a teller in there is if we actually want to get some American cash. We go in there and get some American cash, and you pay 75 cents. And they don't charge you anything over and above the exchange rate, right? So I have an American account. I have a savings account. I have a checking account. Okay. These are all joint, but I have a checking account, a savings account, an American account, and I get 100 free checks a year, and I pay $12.99. And guess what? Oh, and by the way, at the bank, when they said unlimited things, I said, well, what's your cheapest account? And it was like $3.95. And I said, okay, well, give me that one. And they said, yo, you pay $2 to use the teller, and anything over 12 transactions with your debit card, they were going to start charging me $1 a transaction. And with 2 people on that account and Howie swiping his card for coffees at the time, we would have been paying the full pop anyway. So now I have a checking account, a savings account, an American account, and I can move stuff back and forth between without having to go to a teller, right? And they do the exchange for me. I get 100 free checks a year. And because we use I don't know what it is, but I pay $12.99, but every single month they take out the $12.99 and they give me back $6. So every month I'm only paying $6.99 for 3 accounts and free checks. And our insurance went down. Something else. There was a couple of things that we were paying that went down in price because we were credit union members. Notice that Walmart only accepts cash at the self-checkout, like you were saying, Bev. You mean they only accept cash at the self-checkout. They don't accept cash at the self-checkout. Some do, some don't. Right? But I'm never going to stand in front of, see, the moment you use a self-checkout, you're consenting to a lot of things. You're consenting to yourself having your face run through facial recognition. You're consenting to being added to an algorithm that favors some people, ethnic, and that some people, because your habits of spending go through that. Everything feeds the algorithm. It's artificial intelligence. Okay? And you're consenting to it by stepping up to the self-checkout and being videotaped and being watched. So like this whole thing with Walmart, now I can't find the video anymore that show what they were doing with AI and Walmart. But the thing is the moment you walk into that store, the moment you lose all privacy, and you've given permission for them to harvest as much biometric data as they can from you, from your shopping habits, to how much money's left in your bank account, to how often you shop, to facial recognition. Everything. It's got nothing to do with easier shopping experiences, right? No, you look at my R half acre homestead video going, seriously, Dollarama? Forced self-checkout. And that store I will never go to again, because it was a Dollarama in Gatineau. And one day I went there and they had self-checkouts. They had 4 self-checkouts, and they had one person as the cashier at the end. And I'm telling you, the person was mentally challenged. And I'm not saying that out of disrespect. I'm saying it because he had to make the change on his fingers. And then the next time I went, but I waited and I was patient. And the next time I went, there was a big burly guy standing there saying, showing people how to use the self-checkout, saying, please step up, use the self-checkout. And I said, no, I want a cashier, please. And now here's the thing. He spoke to me entirely in French, and I spoke to him entirely in English, and we had a perfectly understandable conversation. And I said, I want to use a cashier. And he goes, they're closed. They're fermé. And I said, well, can't you pull someone off the floor? He said, the cash, fermé. And so I went up, and I filmed me saying, I'm not doing this. And then I went and used the self-checkout, and I videotaped the camera. I didn't film myself flipping off the camera because I needed my one hand for the phone. But, well, I mean, my point and the last time I went to a Walmart that had cashiers, which was in Peterborough, the cashier was standing there talking to another associate. Like, she had rung something through, and she was, and the people were waiting to pay, and she was just standing there talking. It's like they are encouraged to slack off and be really slow so that people will go to the self-checkout. Walmart, maybe except online occasionally, but Walmart's lost my business. The Gatineau Dollaramas have lost my business. So what? People say, so what? It's not like you spend a lot of money. Well, what if 75% of the population just decided not to use self-checkouts anymore? Not to shop at the stores where that's the only thing available. Do you honestly think they wouldn't notice? Right? Hey, Lola Granola! How's it going? You've got physically handicapped people running registers. I mean, you're lucky you're getting registers, right? Got to remember, I've been out twice since Christmas. I've been off my property twice since Christmas. So I'm going by what other people are telling me. And I'm seeing the sticker shock when I give Howie a modest list. Yeah, get a couple of treats, Get yourself your coffee. And folks, Howie does one Keurig a day. That's his morning coffee on the way to work. Right? I don't begrudge him that. Right? So, yeah, exactly, city girl. You know what? They don't pay me they don't pay me to check out myself, right? To check myself out. So, I mean, when he's home on the weekend, hi, Matthew. When he's home on the weekend, I make him a pot of coffee. You know what I mean? So, the line, I know they're so long and it's really hard. But you know what? I'm still going to use them. Why? Because it's hard enough. This is me, okay? Woman who works in the garden, does all this canning, all this stuff. But I have fibromyalgia, arthritis, and I'm now 59 years old. And shopping, I don't do alone anymore unless it's just a quick trip, which I never do quick trips anymore because gas is so expensive. But I don't shop alone. Why? Because I'm getting too physically unstable that if I fall, I want to make sure there's somebody nearby who knows how to help me back up properly. And that causes me enough anxiety that I don't do any major shopping. A, because I got to load it into the truck. And B, I got to unload it into the house. So it's a lot of work. So at the very least, I asked Briar to go with me so that he can help me load, he'll help me load it all into the truck. And what I do is, here's a really cool thing, guys. They don't seem to be getting bigger. Are they getting enough light? Enough nutrients? Enough nutrients? Yeah, I'm really tired, folks. I found a really cool way of doing groceries, though. I don't bother asking for bags or anything. I take my bags with me and I leave them in the truck. And I just put everything back in the cart. And I haul that cart out. And then I open my bags onto the seat and I pack them the way I want them. And then when I get home, I put the bag on my walker, the wheelie walker, and I walk it over to the porch and I took it out. Yes, it takes several trips. It's kind of like me, filling my tomato beds with 5-gallon buckets in my walker. We do things in a way to conserve our energy, to whatever it is we got going on that day, right? So we have a store that actually hired armed guards. They get all of my business. I go to one other store for chicken feed once a year, and that's it. I made sure they knew how grateful I am too, where they actually hired armed guards. Wow. It's sad. That's sad, really, if you think about it. It's sad because that they're necessary. It's sad that that's necessary in today's age. Now, do you remember back when I was talking about, we were doing a live stream, or it was a video and somebody made a comment to the effect of, oh yeah, I just get whatever I want, right up to $949, and I walk right out of it and they don't stop me. And I said, you, sir, are part of the problem. Right? Oh, they send me a ticket for $125, a fine. Right? And the store people are not allowed to stop you. And I went, you're part of the problem. Because, okay, city girl. Hey, Corey. Oh, how's she doing, honey? How's your mom doing? So, and laundry baskets, absolutely, right? Why? Because laundry baskets fit on the seat of the walker just nice. You're thinking, but mine are always full of either dirty or clean clothes. I'm always in the process of doing laundry. So, I forgot where I was. Oh, yeah, I told him he was part of the problem. And I said, do you honestly think they don't know who you are? Do you honestly think them allowing you to do that is them getting an excuse for extra surveillance? Oh, because people are just walking out of the store. Look. I said, you honestly think they don't know who you are? Right? They are trying to make Walmart a place where when you pull something out of a cooler, it'll get automatically scanned, and of course it'll go back to the storeroom, and the storeroom say, okay, we're down a can, and they pop one in the magic from behind or whatever, but it automatically tallies up everything you put in your cart, because there is surveillance everywhere, on every couple of feet on each shelf. It's nuts, right? And they're trying to make it so that you have an account, digital account ID. Now, and then you just bag your stuff and go, right? But they're trying to make it so that every time you put something in your cart, it doesn't just, tick off a list, a digital list. It's actually adding it up so that it comes right out of your account. When you leave the store, like if you put something back, it does the math. Oh, I don't want that. I'll put it back. It'll do the math so that all you do is walk out of the store and you've already paid. You haven't asked a price. You haven't, nothing. That's where that's going. And it's, it may be convenient for some people, but the moment you walk in the store, you are giving them permission to harvest all your biometrics. And they are building an algorithm based on you and everybody else in that store. I scan my cart with my phone and leave. No checkout. Wow. See, I'm not ready for that. Oh, it was a success, and she's groggy. Okay. Well, you tell mom we love her, and we're going to be praying for her, along with I'm sorry guys, along with Linda Bop's family, her brother-in-law. So, I mean, it's just making it that much easier for them to force digitalized life on us. And once your digital identity and your digital currency and everything goes through, you're a slave to the state. You are a slave to the state. There is no other way around it. Right? You have no control. Right? You just be good and do as you're told because you don't want to be erased. Closing because they are not making a profit. Citizen get mad, but everyone turns a blind eye when they steal. That's right. Right? Anyway, there's a lot of anxiousness in the words and the topics we talked about tonight. But the truth is, it's still up to the Gen Xers and the boomers and the Generation Joneses, right? They should have waited till we were done. But there's precious few of us that have the chutzpah and the fight left in them to say, I'm not doing this. I came very close to just giving up. And then I had a grandchild. And I saw the potential of the world that was coming. And I had to, weld a rod up my back and soldier on. Right? Because it's up to us, the adults, to recognize what's happening. And if we vote with our dollar, then so be it. Right? If that's all you can do is vote with your dollar, so be it. But there's got to be enough of us left to say, this is not okay. Right? Erasing women is not okay. I said erasing. Oh, erasing. Not racing. You only hear is racing. But I mean, erasing women is not okay. Right? And that's happening. It's happening. Okay? There is so much going on that makes this world a very sad and confusing and crappy place at times. But it's up to us to turn it around. It's up to us to weld the piece of metal to our spine and stand up and say, no way. You do this and you sell it out of fear and convenience. And if they succeed, it'll all come tumbling down. There's still got to be people left who say, I've been telling you guys this for years. Is anybody finished calling me a conspiracy theorist? Can we start calling me Mrs. Spoiler Alert? Right? Anyway, that's just, but the truth is, we don't just vote with our dollar. We vote by example of how we live. Right? How, we speak the truth. We love our neighbor. We don't have to like them, but we love them enough to respect the boundaries, right? Sometimes loving somebody just means loving them enough to let them go, right? But love is always the answer, because remember, love is our best defense and our only offense. And you can reverse that and it'll work just as well, right? But love is always the answer. If nothing else, that's why Christ walked this earth, was to give us the message that love was the answer, to go back to God, and see him as the Father of love, right? Speaking the truth in love, absolutely, right? So it is up to us not to rage against what's going on, but to observe what's going on and speak when something's not right, whether it offends people or not, right? I'm worried about what's going to happen. I'm not worried about World War III. You know what I'm worried about? When this facade that we're living in right now comes to an end, and you've got 7 billion people chomping at the bit because they've been kept on constant high alert for 3 years, that's a recipe for disaster. People will turn on each other, right? If nothing happens, they're going to make something happen to get rid of the excess angst that has been pushed on us for years. So what do? We prepare. We don't shop if we grow. Whatever we can grow, we don't have to buy. And whatever we don't buy, the store feels it. It's voting with your money, right? Barter with your neighbors. Start having cash. Start using cash. And tell stores that won't accept cash that you won't shop there. These are the kind of things that we can do, even though we're getting old and cranky. I'm at the point where it's like, get off my lawn. You know what I mean? I'm at that point, but still I have to hope and pray for the best and prepare for the worst, because prices aren't getting any lower. This whole farce of the political state in North America right now is just a joke, right? So we got to start working within our communities, meeting farmers, meeting somebody who grows something specific, like the garlic that's gone nuts in my garden, that's been there for 2 years. I actually bought from a local guy that used to live that Briar used to live across from. So it was local organic. No wonder it wants to live in my soil, right? So make these connections. If you see somebody growing garlic, stop in one day and say, hey, do you sell garlic? Put in an order. Or offer to trade, meat for, eggs for, whatever the case may be. But the more self-reliant we become, the more those grocery stores are going to have to succumb to the fact that we are not going to be corralled into depending on all the social structures that society has now set up for us to enslave us, right? So do yourself a favor. The next time you go shopping, buy something extra. Let's say pork and beans are on for 50 cents a can. And you have a $2 can of soup in your hand, condensed soup in your hand. And you look at the beans, I'd be putting the soup back and buying 4 cans of beans, right? Even if you have to sacrifice something you want to buy something extra, always try and buy something extra. Stock your pantry one bit at a time. Look around your neighborhood if you live in the city. See who has a garden. See if there's something you can't exchange. See if you help them in the garden, maybe they'll help you with the harvest. Maybe you can teach them how to can, or they can teach whatever. Look around, look closer to home for your local farmers and your local gardens and your local community gardens. Discount racks at the grocery store. You know where I'm going, right? Anyway, folks, I have gone on for an hour and 20 minutes, and I'm really tired, and I just want to go to bed, but I have editing to do. So let's close with some spiritual nourishment. Now, this may not be for everybody, but if you choose to leave, that's fine. There is no judgment, okay? No harm, no foul. This is for those of us who have a faith that we're willing to share, by dropping the boundaries that religion has put between us and reaching out our hearts and our hands and meeting in the middle within God's light and divine love, right? So anything else is just fluff on the furniture. You connect to your faith, and I will connect to mine in my own way. All right? So let's do some deep breathing. Oh, excuse me. Let's breathe in peace and breathe out chaos. Let's breathe in faith and breathe out fear. Hey, God, creator and source of everything, all the universes and multiverses. How's it going? God, before we, talk about stuff, I want to say right off the top of the bat, Linda Bop's family is going through some crisis right now. One of their family members was on a bicycle and was hit by a car. So please be with that family now, God, as they need to pull on your strength. I've forgotten, folks. I'm sorry. But, people are battling illness and fear and financial stress, family stress. Some people are battling addiction, loneliness, neglect. God, we're lucky because we have you, right? We know you're there. And we ask that you fill us with your light every day so that we may shine your love in a light for people. But there's a lot of people who are just so faced with so much shit right now, God, that they don't even know which direction to look for the light. So God, they're just too tired, right, to even care at the moment, right? So we lift all those people up to you. The people that are facing surgeries, thank you. May Corey's mom come through her surgery and have a wonderful recovery. God bless Corey for being there for his mom. All those people that need the extra boost, God, we lift them up to you so that the light of your divine love will pour over them and give them some peace. And so that maybe they can lift up their eyes and see the light through the darkness. God, we ask that you fill us with the light of your divine love so that as we go forward, heart to heart and hand to hand, we part the darkness before us and light the way for more people who can rest in your light, recharge, and join in the walk. Thank you, God. And thank you for giving me energy to do whatever I did today. It was a lot of work, but God bless you. Thank you, God. I needed the lift. Amen. Shalom. Namaste. Peace be with you. Merry meet, merry part. Blessed be. Miigwech. Walk in the shining light of God's love. Whatever language you use, the language of love is always best received, right? Take care. God bless. And we will see you Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I love you guys. Don't ever forget that. I'm not just saying that. All right. I feel you, right?